What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. There's also
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Try that again. Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each and every show while it's live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and join the Flat Earth Debate Forum. Most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion right now, then click the link in the info box below this video. Just be sure to mute the page you are currently watching before you do so. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by The Plain Truth, Sleeping Warrior, and Paul. Sketchy start, but good to have you all.
Hello, what hope?
Nathan.
I'm not gonna. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nathan, we might have to change your introductory paragraph.
Why?
It's I think it might be a little bit out of date now, a little bit out of fashion.
Fashion?
Just read the bit where you say, you know about if do not swear. What's the sentence after do not swear?
I don't know. I don't have a script. I make it up every time. Yes, it's pretty consistent. When I was watching back the old shows from about a year ago, I pretty much say exactly the same thing, but I've never written it down or scripted it or anything of the nature of that nature. I just make it up each time. It's slightly different each time. Well, all right. So what you say words to the effect of something like, if you do swear, you will be ejected. And if you are rejected, do not come back on stock accounts. You will be warmly welcomed back on the next show. Correct. What you need to say is, if you are a baller and have some evidence whatsoever for your religious dogma, please do come onto the show because there are none left because we've killed them all. Something like that. I see. Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah, that is kind of funny. That is funny.
I mean, the impression I'm trying to give across is that the warmly welcome back bit is the bit I want to get across. Yeah. In contrast to other shows that claim to have an open debate, open for a reasonable discussion, and then when you go in there, there's absolutely no reasonable discussion whatsoever. Mind you, I suppose it's similar like this because there's although there's some element of debate here, it's very one-sided because you get people that come in and claim silly things like gravity, gravimeters prove gravity. Because we can measure it to 6 decimal places. Shout out to Walter Biston, who thinks that technology is science. What a moron. Hey, Chocolate.
Good morning, guys.
Hey.
Hey.
Okay, let's rattle through housekeeping then, Nathan.
Yeah, not a bad idea. Hopefully that'll sort of settle the mood back down after a load of technical issues at the beginning, but there we go. So hopefully the recording's unaffected. How you doing, Dion? How you doing, Paula?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Hey, Paula.
Yeah, we hear you. A little bit quiet, Paula, but I'll turn you up. Just in time for housekeeping. Any signs of Earth curvature?
No.
Nope. Nope. Good morning, Paula. What's up, Dion?
Oh, should I say nope?
No, you can say whatever you believe. Is there any signs of curvature, Paula?
No.
Great stuff.
Right, axial rotation?
No.
Hi, Eric.
Hello.
The timing. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Nope.
I've got a claim from Walter Bislin. Walter Bislin claims that gravimeters are measuring gravity to 6 decimal places, I hear. And when I try and remind him that he's not able to demonstrate that the thing that he believes he's measuring is actually gravity, it could be the ethereal flow of current or electrons or energy or whatever you want to call it, because there does appear to be a flow that travels from the sky towards the Earth. And whether it's a plane or whether it's spherical, if there is a flow of something and it's micro voltages that's passing through the atmosphere, perhaps he's measuring that and he doesn't realize it, but thinks and tells people, because he probably does believe it, that he's actually measuring gravity. Unless he can actually prove it, a gravimeter is simply numbers on a screen that may or may not relate to something, but you can't prove what it relates to, and I don't accept your explanation based on logic and reason. Walter, try again, sir.
I'm going to try and do a shout out to this guy who has actually sent a €5 super chat while I was having technical issues getting the show running. So I assume he put this up because he wanted to get it on screen, and then the stream stopped. So I'm going to butcher your name. I'm really sorry. I think it's Reichard de Calon d'Esprit. Oh, I'm sorry if I've butchered that, but there we go. I need Hangouts link to work. Just refresh now. It should work. It was just technical issues. So refresh the page if you're trying to join. You'll be able to. The link is there. It should work now. Or invite or something. I want to join. Love you guys, Nathan and crew. No homo. Flat Earth Finland. Okay, so big shout out to you. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat. I'm not going to butcher your name again. And also a shout out to Colin Turner for smashing the super chat. So thank you very much indeed. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No.
Where's
Arwin? Arwin's not here. What's going
He's
on?
probably still doing his show.
Arwin, go on. He's live.
Yeah, exactly. He's still live. He won't be long. No evidence of the distance to the sun. Should we move on?
Nope.
Any evidence that you can have a gas pressure, for all the people who believe in space, without a container?
Up to 400 miles.
I didn't hear that. Do you want to repeat that?
Up to 400 miles. Apparently, now.
The gas pressure.
400,000 miles.
Oh, 1,000, yeah, right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the gas pressure bit. The bit we're concerned about is the space bit. The ever infinite, increasing in size, always outer space that is claimed to be a vacuum. So here we get lots of answers that are regards the pressure that we all definitely know we experience. My favourite being, I go outside and that demonstrates that we can have gas pressure without a container. And it's like, actually, no. Going outside, breathing in and out demonstrates unequivocally that we don't have a vacuum of space for a sky. Because if we did, you wouldn't be able to do precisely that. You wouldn't go outside and start breathing. You'd go outside and start choking. That's given that you had a sealed room with oxygen and, you know, pending all the plot holes. Right, let's move on. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Absolutely not.
Sorry.
I always hold out so much hope for that one. Never mind. What about the presupposition of an Earth radius? The R value. Any evidence of that?
Nope.
No?
I think we might need to find a curvature in, you know, a ball first before we can get its radius.
Yeah, no more presupposing it's a ball. That would be nice. But that's kind of what the R value question's about. So I'm pretty sure that concludes the housekeeping. Thank you very much to all who took part.
Oh, I missed my part.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Scientific evidence of what?
Gravity, Travis. any scientific evidence of it? Was it just for the jape, or do you actually have some scientific evidence of gravity, Travis? I'll be very annoyed if you don't.
I don't. I can jump up and down for you right now if you'd like.
Get out.
I could probably produce evidence as long as you tell me how you define it. But if you define it as weight, every time I put something on a scale, there's evidence of it. If you define it any other way, I have no evidence of it.
Oh, somebody's Skype's going. Is that Anthony? I bet a pound it is. Hello, Anthony. Should we let him cause this interruption? Oh no, Paul couldn't take it anymore and had to mute you. I've completely lost track of what we were just talking about. It was you talking, Paul. What were we just talking about a moment ago?
I mean, I said I can probably give you evidence of gravity depending on how you define it. Because if you go the old way of defining it, which is either heaviness or weightiness, I could prove that all day long. But if you define it any other way, it falls apart.
If I gave you a 50 kilogram helium balloon and you put it on your scale, what's going to happen?
Oh, I get what you're saying. Okay, I know where you're going. Okay, you debunked my process there.
Oh no!
I have sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I just recently was commenting on a YouTube video, and somebody said that I was inept because I said there's no evidence of gravity and all that stuff, and they said, well, marksmen need to calculate all this stuff like gravity and axial, like the Coriolis. And I said, well, a marksman isn't only going to rely on mathematics, and there's so many factors. After a certain point, they have to rely on experience over time, and they're going to adjust, and there's going to be things like muscle memory and just adjusting to certain circumstances and conditions automatically without even, they're not, you know, if they just relied on mathematics, they would probably be a pretty crappy marksman. That's at least my take on that. So it doesn't prove anything to me. The whole argument about a marksman or a sniper using gravity and the Coriolis effect and all that crap. But anyway.
I've grown to love the marksman argument, actually, because it basically just destroys their point when they assert something that actually demonstrates Coriolis. And the bullet apparently is showing an apparent deflection. Now, I say it with a slight upward inflection because a lot of people don't understand that this Coriolis force isn't actually a force. It's a pseudo-force. What you're witnessing is an apparent deflection. I had some commenters saying that as the bullet's trying to go round and round in, you know, eventually it would go round in a circle. It's like, what are you talking about? The bullet's travelling in a straight line. Hey, Ranty.
Hiya, you're right.
Hello. The bullet's travelling in a straight line and the Earth is rotating underneath it. And they need to account for the fact that basically the target's moving with respect to the bullet, which is travelling in a straight line, because the Earth turns underneath it, giving you a Coriolis effect. That is what the Coriolis effect is, if it is indeed in existence on a spinning ball Earth. Well, the problem with that is that if you are to assert that a sniper needs to account for the fact that as his bullet travels in a straight line through the air that it's passing through, the target is effectively moving with the Earth spin, then the same principle would be in effect for an aeroplane. The aeroplane takes off and the Earth rotates underneath, which would mean you'd have considerably shorter air travel in one direction than the other. We don't. There is no demonstrable Coriolis effect on a jet plane, but apparently there is the Earth turning underneath that bullet. So if you want to assert that the Earth turns underneath the bullet, why doesn't it turn underneath the planes? That's a glaring contradiction. And it just craps all over the assertion that we have an Earth-based Coriolis effect. Because Coriolis is real. Sit on a roundabout, hold a ball in your hand, and you'll find that if it's in your hand, it's going at the same exact rate as the roundabout. If you throw the ball, when you release it, the ball travels in a straight line, but from your apparent position on the roundabout, it looks like it's taking a curved path. It isn't. It's an apparent deflection, because the roundabout turns underneath. Well, that's the effect that they're detailing when they say a sniper needs to adjust for it. Or Neil deGrasse Tyson says a field goal's been made or lost because the Earth turned underneath the football. Well, if it's turning underneath footballs and it's turning underneath bullets, you can be damn sure it's turning underneath aeroplanes. It just isn't. It's not turning. We don't turn. The Earth's stationary. We're not moving a smegging inch.
Agreed.
So I'm going to name and shame Ranty, as he's here. I didn't expect you to be here today, Ranty. Hey, Flat Earth.
Hi.
Good to have you.
No, I'm skiving today.
Skiving off. So
Yeah.
Ranty called me yesterday, and we ended up in not a full-blown row, but very heated discussion. Because Ranty, I'm going to shame you about this, Ranty, I'm sorry, I've got to do it, wants to latch onto this straw man about the atmosphere extending out to the moon. My issue being that the battle in this regard is long won. Everybody's been massacred. They're all lying dead. A few of them have been captured. And when they twitch, Ranty wants to go and give them a good kick. And it's, A, not necessary. And in order to do it, you've got to actually go into their begging the question fallacy model to describe how their version of a sphere-shaped Earth with a moon in an orbital path around said sphere-shaped Earth, and both in an orbital path around the sun, have an atmosphere in an open state, i.e. you can leave it. You can still have Voyager going out into the cosmos, right? You can still have people going to Mars in that bullshit world, has an atmosphere that now extends much further. And in reality, it doesn't change the argument, which is still devastating. Even if they extend it out a bazillion miles, it's still an open system that they can leave, and the gas would fill the space. But Ranty is hoping that somebody's going to come along and say, "Ha-ha, this makes our argument work."
Well, you can't give the game away. You've got to let somebody come in and try and do that first.
They never will. I don't think it's for them. I think this argument's been given for people like you. And I'll say that based on the 24 or more people who have contacted me about this and are looking for an angle. And it's like, why do you need an angle? Just to ask how you have gas pressure without a container. Or for people or that seems too complicated for, tip your head slightly upwards towards the sky and say, "Is that a vacuum?"
Well, I think there are some interesting implications from this discovery, this recent discovery, apparently, that the atmosphere extends past the moon. Apparently, it's 20-year-old data. My question is, what have they been studying on the ISS and these satellites that go past the moon? But then, like, I would say, like, it's like, did they just assume that there's no atmosphere, so they didn't even think to study it? So, I mean, that's just one way of looking at it, but it's just their lapse of, it's either way you put it, it's like it kind of points to the fact that there's not space at all. They're not up there, because they would have discovered that long ago. They wouldn't have relied on 20-year-old data. They would be studying, they're just studying silkworms and saying things like nominal, not, that's like all I hear, and it's just seems like theatrics.
I don't think it's a coincidence at all that while the very model is being discussed, that all of a sudden they're changing an aspect of it. I don't think that's a coincidence.
Yeah, I agree.
Try to fix it. It doesn't matter. Like, you guys, this is insane. Like, all of a sudden, with people are discussing the shape of the Earth, and now you want to change the whole model. Come on, guys. And then you're going to put us based off 20-year data. So what have you been doing for the 20 years? What happened?
Yeah.
Why has this not been discussed? Why is it all of a sudden?
It gives evidence that they aren't in space at all, and that there possibly is no space.
Hey, Jose.
Well, it creates more issues for the.
Hey, morning.
It also creates more issues for the ISS. That means there's more atmosphere up there that the ISS is traveling through, which would create more drag, which would create other issues along the way. So they just make more issues for themselves.
Yeah, wouldn't it create more issues for everything up there now? ISS, all the satellites, like everything. The moon itself, the moon landings. I mean, obviously, I'm sure they're going to try to say, "Oh, it's only molecules here and there." But come on, guys. If that's the point, why would you change it in the first place? If it's so negligible, because somebody's going to stat it, right? Anyway, I'm done.
Well, the only way to stay on top of it is they will just produce stuff so they can be seen as the smarter people. So they'll never get into the argument of flat Earth. So they need new information just to refresh their religion.
I think some of the people that fell off that bridge actually.
Hey, could I share a screen on just an idea I have real quick?
Pushkan, go ahead.
I have it. I have it sharing, but I don't have it presented. But I I like to try to do practical things on Earth shape. And what I have on the image is that you see those three different shapes. The first one on the left is a square Pac-Man type map. The second one is the disc, and the third one is the ball. And I put a shaded area. If you were able, this is basically one time zone, 15 degrees of sun movement. We know it's 15 degrees because we can do sundials and watch the shadow move, and it's very consistent. So if you were to measure the distance between points at the corners and on either side in the middle, you could find out which shape it is, because if it's in this square map, then you've got an oblong box. It's very straight sides. But if it's the disc, then you have like a wedge shape. And if it's a ball, you have this bowed out, middle, where it's widest in the middle. I would think, I tried to pick a spot that would match up with land masses so people could actually measure those places. Even though that would still be a major effort to measure, I think it would at least be a strong indicator of shape, because even if you can't trust Google Maps, you can go to those places, have people say, okay, if I go for one time zone distance from point A to point B and verify that distance, it should match up with the one on the top if it's the left or right image, and it should be very different if it's the disc shape. I don't know. I was just kind of thinking of this the other day. What do you guys think?
I don't think we can trust what the sun is.
Well, I mean, as far as it moves 15 degrees per hour. That's all we know, is the shadow on the ground moves 15 degrees per hour. But yeah, if given that, you always have to start with some kind of assuming such and such, then this should be true. So if we all use the same for each of those
Nathan doesn't
shapes,
agree with that. No, Nathan doesn't agree with that.
Yes, I understand. But the thing is that if they all use the same assumptions, then you should get different shapes, is what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, it was just a thought. And I thought, it might be a practical way if we can, if that's true, that the sun actually moves 15 degrees per hour. Now, I have a sun video where I say it's got to be lensed. It's daily movement on any point on Earth is physically impossible, because of it's got four motions, and they're not going the right ways according to standard model. But if we just go with that, we can compare shapes with it. You know what I'm saying? If we use the same assumptions for each one, if we were to do this measurement, we should get three different shapes of, one of those three shapes.
I wish you were around 3 years ago when we did sun tracking, because this would have been a far better methodology for tracking the sun. Keep it within a very focused area, keep it in with one time zone, and then, like you say, you can extract out based on the position when it leaves, when it arrives, what precisely is that shape in that shaded area that you've got.
Right.
Again, with the assumptions of the sun being a physical thing travelling across us at a given height, etc, etc, etc. But yeah, this would have been far more useful than the kind of random shot in the dark of getting people's sunrises and sunsets all over the territory, because it's not focused in a small enough area.
After this exercise, sorry to interrupt Paula and Nathan, we can do the exercise of looking at Polaris and then the Sigma Octantis in the northern and southern hemisphere, and we can, if the Earth is a globe, we can presuppose and do all this good stuff that Paula is proposing. Thank you.
The problem is, Jose, that with your example, you've already decided it is a sphere.
No, we can compare shapes.
Really?
We can
Sorry, Jose. Yeah. So do you want to just explain again how we're going to check in the northern and southern hemisphere whether or not it's a sphere? Because I absolutely guarantee you are begging the question with that statement.
And I still don't think we can look at the sky to solve the problem. I mean, if we're looking at Earth shape, why are we looking at the sky?
With saying hemisphere and northern and southern hemisphere, everybody understands, and it's not necessarily presupposing, because people still call it planet. We know whatever. It's not trying to presuppose. It's a word that people understand. When we say planet, we talk about Earth, and we say northern or southern hemisphere, we say above the equator or southern of the equator. There's no physical line. We're not going to find an equator, just in case.
Sorry, Jose, what you have just said in no way changes the fact that the word hemisphere, regardless of whether or not people understand it, understand means that you implicitly realise it as truth, correct? Well, the word hemisphere predetermines that you are going to travel antipode to yourself when making the comparison between the stars. So you're automatically assuming that when you look at Polaris and then move south, you are moving antipode on a ball when you use the word hemisphere. It is an affirming the consequent, and it is begging the question when you use that word, regardless of whether or not people understand it. Yeah, people understand incorrectly that they're on a ball. That's why they say the word hemisphere when they affirm the consequent and beg the question.
Okay, so we can say when we're looking at a Sigma Octantis rotation pole in the sky, in the south, in the Chile or South Africa, etc., then we can say that, and we can think if it's a rectangular looping shape model, flat Earth, we can see this and we can imagine this. And then if it's a azimuthal equidistant type of disk projection, we can see this and we can compare models. Thank you.
Yeah, we can, but based on what you've said now, you would never, ever, ever come to the conclusion that you're on a sphere, Jose. So yes, we start and look at the stars. Where are the stars when you're in the north, Jose, precisely? Just give me a rough... They're up, are they? They're above you. All right, and where are the stars when you go to the south? Are they still up?
Yeah, everything is relative, yeah.
So unless we use the word hemisphere, no conclusion based on what you have just said will ever, ever yield a spherical result. Or to put it another way, Jose, in order for this to come out as a sphere, you must presuppose that you're on a sphere. Now that's unfortunate, but that's just religious faith for you. That's just religious zealotry for you. That's what being a fundy is. Just deciding that what you say is true and asserting it always as true.
You just got to put yourself in the third person view and see Earth and the stars as one system and see how they move, how they work. So the only shape it can work is a spherical with the... It's a spherical, just the model that we have been presented since we were early. If you present a flatter model with the stars working, the rotation pole in the southern, in the south and all that good stuff, then, it's something there. But I haven't seen zero. I have seen zero. None.
Yeah, spoken like a true fundy. So you've just said the same thing again, which is to say that the only model it will work on is a sphere. In other words, what you're now demanding is that we must beg the question as you do. Well, no, Jose. We're not going to accept that the only pseudoscience model your observation works on is when you beg the question and assume you're travelling antipode to yourself. That's what fundies do. And the other example you gave, where we don't presuppose we're on a sphere, we don't assume we have a radius value, doesn't lead you to the conclusion that you're on a sphere regardless of what you do, because the stars are always above you. They're never under your own arse, Jose. But you can presuppose they're under your arse if you want to, as a fundy zealot. Globehead, I won't be, regardless of how you assert it or tell me it must be so. It's not.
Yeah, thank you, sir. You win the word battle, you win the semantics and the explanation battle, but people understand what I mean. In the chat, people watching, I know it's 50-50, and the bowlers, they know what I mean, that you cannot model the stars, you cannot see, you cannot imagine the star rotation points north and south in a flatter model, in zero flatter model whatsoever. Thank you.
You're just circle jerking us. You're saying the same thing again. So what you're saying is consensus says it's okay to presuppose a ball. And I'm saying, I don't care what the consensus in chat thinks. I couldn't give a crap if every last one of them tells me till they're blue in the face that it's a ball and it's the only model that it works on. It doesn't matter. Models are pseudoscience, Jose. We don't live on a model. And presupposing that those stars that are definitely always above me are actually under my own arse isn't going to fly. Telling me I must presuppose that doesn't work for me, I'm afraid, Jose.
Yeah, if I'm going to buy a house, I got to be presented with an image. I can take a crayon drawing so I can see the house that I'm going to live in. So if I don't see even a crayon drawing of a flat earth, I mean, what do you get? Nothing.
Well, Jose, just tell them what it is. You got an app that tells you the sun is underneath your feet.
I'm
So
talking about the
you're-
rotation poles of the stars.
You're good with that. Yeah, but you have an app that tells you the sun's underneath your feet, so you're good with that, right?
I just look at the stars and I see one rotation point and I don't see the other one. When people is
But have you ever
further in
seen
the
have
south,
you ever seen
you
the
see it.
stars under your feet though? No, right?
Have you
We
seen
need
the
to
dirt under your house or when you're standing on the
Yeah, that's
on the
dirt.
living room?
That's dirt. That's not stars.
Right,
So you're asking a very dumb
just got to
question. If I've
interrupt a
seen
second.
something under
Sorry,
my feet
Jose.
here.
So what you're giving us now, Jose, is a false
I'm asking dumb
equivalency.
questions. That's cute.
It's a false equivalency. That's all you're doing. Another straw man. Another logical
Jose,
fallacy.
I have a similar question to the one that I posed to you before. How many variables have you eliminated to get down to the only variable you'll accept in terms of how the stars operate in our world?
What are you talking about, Travis? I'm a YouTuber. I take videos and I upload them. That's it. All I got is a P900 and a cell phone, bro.
Jose, you said the only explanation is ... There is no way it can work on a flat Earth. Okay, so how many options on a flat Earth did you go through and eliminate? And how did you eliminate those variables? Thank you.
I tell you.
Shout out to Awaken Truth. Awaken Narrative for the super chat. Flat Earth, truth wins. Thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate it. Sorry to interrupt you, Jose.
Good. 90% of the flat Earth researchers have done this research. They have watched hundreds of hours and hundreds of videos on YouTube, and I'm looking for a video on YouTube on how do the rotation and the stars work on a flat Earth, and I have found zero explanation. The only explanation that can work is in a globe, and I'm not looking for it, but I stumble upon it, and I see it, and it works. That's the variables that I have done, just like 90% of the flat Earthers.
So that's a false equivalency, and what's the other one you've just used? It'd be an argument from ignorance fallacy. So absence of evidence is not evidence of absence, Jose. So saying, I have no model of it working on a flat Earth, therefore flat Earth does not work, is an argument from ignorance fallacy. It's also a false equivalence, because it doesn't make any difference what model you can reproduce it on. Saying that you can't do it on a different model doesn't make that incorrect. Sorry, Jose, all you've got is fallacy.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question about the supposed shape of the Earth. So they say, first they said it was sphere, and then they said, well, it's not a perfect sphere. Then it's, it's a slight pear-shaped. But aren't correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't the lines of latitude and longitude based on a perfect sphere measurement?
Yep, they are.
Yeah, so that doesn't add up. Yeah, that's all. That's my question.
Is it, again, concepts that work within the confines of models? So there is no longitude lines. There is no equator. These things are derived from things that we observe in the sky and presuppositions about what shape the Earth is to begin with. And therefore, you extract out the lines on the map. Well, it doesn't mean that they're real. These are concepts. People use concepts all the time to reify their model into existence. It's just tedious. Show me the equator. Show me that line that you've measured. There isn't one.
I would say that as far as like the tropics go, it's the northern and southern limit to how far you can be where the sun can at some time in the year go directly overhead. So that's why the tropics are the tropics. It's a Greek word that means to turn around and go back. So it's a varying limits between where you can be where the sun can possibly ever go directly overhead. And so that what they do with the equator is just take the midpoint of that. That's all those lines are. But the rest of the lines, it's just a matter of how many degrees off. But again, if you're talking degrees, you're presuming a shape.
Right. I mean, what you've detailed.
I'm not looking at the YouTube chat, but if anybody want to join, any other bowler or anybody that have something to present, let me know. I will drop. Now I'm gonna stay on mute as a placeholder. If anybody want to join, any of you, please let me know and I'll drop. Thank you.
I don't blame you. No one wants to be the whipping boy, Jose.
Yeah, no, I'm a little busy. I got stuff to do, but I'll stay in the hangout listening as a placeholder, so no trolls coming. Just let me know if anybody needs to come in. Thank you.
If anybody wants to go back and rewind and listen to what Paula's just said, she's absolutely accurate in every respect. And what she has detailed is what the sun does. Not what the Earth does, but what the sun does.
Right. I've spent a lot of time just collecting data points over the last couple summers, and that's why I did that sun video of it's got 4 different motions. And the big one, I think, is that camera rotation or viewer rotation cannot account for the sun's clock rotation because it rotates the wrong way. So therefore, I've concluded the Earth, it's a pretty strong evidence that the Earth is not spinning, that the sun must be moving because it's going the wrong way. It's just twisting the wrong way as it goes across the sky.
Oh, really? What way do the sunspots turn? I thought I had a handle on this.
Well, it's been a while since I did that. I think that the spots move clockwise during the day. According to appearance, they move clockwise, but they should move counterclockwise if my camera is the thing that's rotating. You know what I'm saying? And I did that whole video on it, the challenging standard cosmology of the sun, where part of it is that.
Right. I mean, from our vantage point, if we could see sunspots, which obviously we can't without equipment, you would see them effectively roll across the sky.
Yes.
But what you're saying is, if from our vantage point we are what is rotating, then they should go you're right, they should go anti-clockwise.
Yes.
You know, you're absolutely right. I'd never thought about it. Even from a logical standpoint, you go, well, I didn't think about it in terms of the sun when Phuket Word originally pointed this wagon wheel of the moon out. You just think, right, well, obviously it doesn't tie up with the heliocentric system, but you don't think, well, what should it do? And what it should do is go the complete other way round.
Well, right. Polo, you just blew my mind. I still don't get it, but I'm shook. I'll probably need to look at the video and try to.
I can post it in here, I think. Let me get the link. I just can't post it in the live chat.
Well, just listening to Nathan's moment of realization just excited me. Because I know he's smart and he'll get it first time, but I won't.
Awesome.
Gives me goosebumps. I love things like that. Oh, let's bring it up and share it with the chat. Right, okay, so this is now Bible Literalist, formerly Knowledge Scavenger, if you were aware of a channel before. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the link and spam it in the chat feed. So go and check out Paula's videos. They are sublime. There's the chat and subscribe.
Just subscribe to Paula.
Well, I'm not subscribed on this channel, so I'm obviously subscribed on Nathan Oakley 1980, but not Nathan Oakley. Well, you've just picked up 1 subscriber, Paula.
Thank you. 300 more or 250 more, and I'll reach the magical 1K.
1K is a real landmark. It's the hardest point to get to, if you ask me. It was far harder to get 1,000 subscribers than to get to 2,000 or 5,000 or 10,000, and 20,000 is going to be the easiest. Well, I say that, God, I shouldn't jinx it, but it's based on the way it's going. It's getting quicker in terms of how many subscribers I'm piling on. But when I was at 700 subscribers, it seemed like an eternity, getting nowhere, pumping out videos day after day and getting 100 or less views on them.
Right, and of course, I'm going to just monetize out the wazoo because, wow, I can. So I'm just going to. No, I'm not.
Yeah, didn't they change it to where you had to get at least 1,000 subscribers and so many views before you could monetize?
Not views, no. It's now watch time hours. So you have to have 4,000 watch time hours and 1,000 subscribers plus in order to apply to be monetized.
Yeah, okay. I really hated that because I was like at $40-some and like just almost there to get a payout, and then they changed it.
My sub count goes up 2, down 1, up 3, down 2. It's weird.
That's exactly what I experienced. 2 steps forward and 1 step back. I used to say to my wife, "Yay, gained 2. Oh, lost 1. Oh, gained 5. Oh, lost 7. Oh, gained 10. Oh, lost 4.
Paula, you're finished with the point? Do you have anything else?
I don't think so, other than the video will describe 4 motions, and that some of them, like the way it moves in the northern hemisphere on any given day, it will move north, south, north, and there's this pinch toward the middle, toward the equator of the sun's motion at every person's perspective along the way, and it's physically impossible. There must be a lens of some sort.
Oh, nice. I'll go in great detail into that. I'm fascinated. I'm obsessed with the sun and the moon.
That's the bit that when you say there's a lens, you've got to agree that that's gonna continually alter as you move your position, right?
Right.
That's the bit that throws me.
And I'm proposing a double concave because it's a diverging lens, and it could, if I could do the experiment, at least there's an experiment that could be done to prove or disprove the concept. I've never had the equipment to do that, but if you had a long double concave lens and rolled a ball across the top and had a camera underneath where our perspective would be, and then one also watching it roll along the top, you could prove or disprove that it causes a north-south-north motion as it goes across. But that's in the video, so.
Could that account for the star rotation in the south, potentially?
Yeah, that's the same lensing issue. Now, P-Brain has a video from several years ago where he showed how just perspective could account for star rotation. But I'm saying there's probably also lensing going on as well.
This sort of stuff excites me, but at the same time, it's so far above my pay grade that I think, am I ever going to achieve anything in this area?
All I do is observe and try to propose ideas and just leave it there. You know, I don't put, hitch anything to it so that if it doesn't work out, I'm not terribly devastated, and it doesn't trigger people. If you just say, here's what I observe, it makes me question, what do you think? That's all I do in my cosmology stuff.
I think it will take group effort to reach a conclusion.
Right.
Along the same lines, I don't know if anybody has seen this. I think I mentioned it yesterday, but I think we were already offline. Rich, Mr. Thrive and Survive, did an observation maybe last week or something, a few days ago, and he actually caught the face of the moon rotating about counterclockwise about 20 degrees in about a second. It was a little crazy. I don't know what the thing is behind that, but he caught it literally moving 20 degrees in a second, or maybe 2. So it was a little crazy. I don't know if any of you guys heard that.
It's a new one on me. I'm just going to do a quick shout out to Reinhardt again. So Reinhardt de Cologne d'Esprit says, love the show, amazing crew, greetings from Flat, Finland. It's the second time that person super chatted and it's been off screen. The first time it was when we had technical issues and it's happened again. What had your video up? Really sorry, my friend, but you've got a shout out nonetheless.
Shout out Reinhardt.
Is that how you say it, Reinhardt? Am I saying that correctly?
I have no idea. I'm going
Me
off
neither.
what you said.
Shout out all the same. Thank you very much for the super chat. Sorry to interrupt you two.
Hey, Paula, it seems like you have Arwin blocked. Is there a particular reason, or can you undo that?
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons, and he blocked me on his channel, but I'm pretty much done. I can just drop out if you want.
He just wanted to come in. I don't care either way. I just thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, I can drop out, no problem.
Oh, don't. Oh, that's a shame. What's going on?
Okay, well.
Arwin's trying to join. I can get him in on Skype.
I'll drop for a baller. If Arwin is a baller, I can lever him in. If not, I'll stay.
That's okay. I can get Arwin in. If he's done with his show, I can bring him in on Skype. That's not an issue.
Wow, I'll drop for a baller.
Trade, yeah. Straight up trade.
Trade one baller for another baller?
Yep. So, Chocolate, have you seen this? Have you seen the opposite way, the debunking videos of those moon observations of Mr. Thrive and Survive? Because it's good to see both faces, and then you can discern which one is right or wrong. If you don't know how it works, and the first explanation you hear is from a flat earther, you're doing the wrong research, because you have to cross-reference with the official narrative also, if you know what I mean.
Arwin, answer your Skype.
Nice. Because Mr. Thrive and Survive is so wrong in everything he does. It's ridiculous. It's laughable.
I actually agree with you. that a Kraken
Oh,
survived.
really, Jose?
There are
And you
a few-
have the proof to back that up?
No, I just seen the cross-reference and the videos debunking it and the explanations on the other side of the coin, and then I discern that everything he says is wrong. Thank you. It's just my own analysis.
I don't think everything he puts out is wrong, but
Wait,
there are.
wait. So somebody else told you that everything he did is wrong, so you just take it as everything he did is wrong.
No,
Copy that.
no.
Jose.
If he's talking about the moon, about certain phase, about certain angle, about certain wagon wheel rotation, the way you should view it, then I go to different channels and I put the same moon phase, the rotation, the same angle which you see it, and I see the alternate explanation from the both side, and I see Mr. Travis Survival explanation on the flat Earth or whatever he wants to present, and I see the official explanation, and then I discern and I choose which one is right or wrong, and I choose Mr. Travis Survive is wrong.
Well, that's your choice, buddy. And are you
Okay, I'm just saying, but if you don't see the opposite view, you cannot discern. You cannot say he's right all the time because you haven't found an
Wait,
alternative.
did I make any claims about it? All I'm doing is pointing out the observation to people to look at it themselves. That's all I did.
Yeah, no,
any
he's full of shit.
particular claim about it? Jose, you in the mood today, bro?
Oh, I'm good. I'm happy,
I'm
man.
not the one today,
thrilled.
bro. All right, yeah. Go find some curvature for us, bro. Thanks.
Oh, I caught plenty of it.
Guys, I have some news.
Let's hear it. Good news, everyone.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, first of all, just before I start, I want to say something that I want to mention every time I'm on the show is that we're noticing how desperate the globe heads are becoming in all around their own sphere. So with the debunking videos on YouTube that have been popping up for the past 3 days on my homepage and all of the counter arguments to people on this panel and other well-known faces around the plane. So we're noticing that they're getting desperate. So I'm surprised that nobody's coming on here. If they're that scared, then we're winning big time. And about my news, I told you yesterday that I'm going to contact some physicists and ask them a few questions about second law of thermodynamics and another question about not estimated, but the exact measurement of what's the precise length of water starting to bend over big standing bodies of water. So I didn't go to that question because this is how it went. I called a doctor in physics. So I introduced myself, told him that me and is everything okay with my audio?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right. And I introduced myself. I won't mention that person because we actually had a good conversation. It's not something that went into an argument or something. Just wanted to try and squeeze out of him his views and show him that I am up with some good points and see how he will react to my want of knowledge. Or in that case, I asked him about second law of thermodynamics and space and how the atmosphere is being retained around Earth. So he went into some details about the pressure gradient and how it's a vacuum. You still have some molecules and some hydrogen. And I'm not going through all the stuff because you all know the story and what I'm going for. But he was just circling around that, and we discussed a few more stuff about laws of thermodynamic, first law, second law, and he was kind of not willing to go that deep into it. So I stopped pushing him at a certain point, and I brought out a topic about Victor Schauberger, and I asked him, is he familiar with his work on water? And let me state that Victor Schauberger was in Bulgaria by invitation of the Bulgarian king because they wanted to use his contraption of bringing down big wood that's been cut down from the mountain. He was building this huge channel to bring down timber from up high the mountain, and it was really productive. So Bulgarian king invited him. It's like I don't know the certain years, but he was here discussing that what he's working on.
Well, Dayan, really quick. Wow, my voice is annoying and boring, but oh my God, do you hear yourself talking? Go ahead, continue.
No need.
Should I speak louder or? It's not boring.
You're doing
what
good.
The hell? What the
think
hell was
just
that, Jose? No, you're not boring, bro.
No, you're not. But maybe the language barrier is taking a bit out of the tempo, and it's not your fault. Absolutely. So just keep doing what you're doing.
I'll try. I admit I've hurt myself, and it's a bit nasty, but I'll try.
Oh, there's no language barrier. You speak better than Jose, man. Just keep going. No problem.
So I went and asked him about Victor Schauberger, and then his statement was that he's not that familiar with his work, and I told him that I'm pretty familiar, and I'm working on some contraptions and some different let's say mechanisms of using water and the power of water to actually be used like to multiply force. Let's say example, you have cars that have a hydraulic clutch. It's not like a physical thing. It just uses fluid to transfer spin from one axis to another. And I told him about that, and he immediately told me that if I'm trying to achieve a perpetual motion machine that can produce energy, that this is not going to happen. But the thing is that he told me that he's not familiar with Victor Schauberger. But then when I told him what I'm working on, he was very quick to say that I'm not going to achieve what I'm going for. And that was interesting, and we agreed that we'll stay in touch. I'll email him some of my researches and some of my engineering plans about that thing, and we'll see what he'll come up with. So
cool.
And I introduced him that now atmosphere is around the moon, and he didn't actually know that. I'm done.
So with that, I am going to round out for a very short break for at least the live audience. If you're watching this on Nathan Oakley 1980, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Massive thanks, of course, to all of the debating panel for making this live debate possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you, the live audience, for tuning in, super chatting, and hopefully sharing this debate. If you need something to do in the break on Nathan Oakley channel, then go to nathanoakley.com and join the community forum to keep up to date with the community Flat Earth debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!